Welcome to This Explainer. So today we're unpacking a reality that's honestly pretty terrifying. The fact that a totally temporary, easily ignored symptom today could actually be your brain's final warning of a massive stroke tomorrow. I mean, we all go through our days brushing off weird little physical quirks, right? But what happens when those quirks are literally a countdown? Stick with me here, because understanding the signals we're about to decode could absolutely protect you and the people you love.
Picture this for a second. You wake up, you head into the kitchen, and suddenly you feel your arm go completely weak. Or you're eating breakfast and your speech starts getting all slurred. Obviously, you panic for a second, but then it just vanishes. Entirely. You feel 100% normal again. Naturally, you tell yourself, phew, okay, I'll deal with that later. But what if feeling normal again is actually a deadly trap? One that lulls you into this totally false sense of security. Part 1. The brain's hidden warning.
It is so incredibly common to just blame these fleeting little moments on stress, or maybe you're dehydrated or just getting older. But dismissing them is a massive, sometimes fatal mistake, because symptoms that last for just minutes today can literally equal permanent brain damage tomorrow. We almost always think of strokes as these sudden, catastrophic lightning strikes that come completely out of nowhere, right? 1 minute you're fine, the next you're in the ER. But the actual truth is, your body is often sending up mild, temporary warning flares, hours or even a full day before the major event happens. The warnings are right there, if you know how to read it.
Part 2. Anatomy of a mini-stroke.
So, the official medical term for this sneaky little event is a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. You've probably heard it called a mini-stroke. Basically, it's a super brief roadblock, a temporary blockage of blood flow to part of your brain that clears up right before permanent brain cell death can actually set in. Hundreds of thousands of people experience this exact thing every single year, but because the symptoms disappear so fast, a tragically high number of those people never even call a doctor. They just don't realize that a TIA isn't some lucky close call. It is a true, immediate medical emergency all on its own.
And here is the absolutely crucial takeaway, 24 to 48. Your risk of having a major, catastrophic stroke is actually at its absolute peak within the first 24 to 48 hours right after those temporary warning signs show up. Your brain relies on a constant, uninterrupted supply of oxygen. And the second those brain cells are deprived, even for just a moment, a totally invisible clock starts ticking.
Just think about the wild biological contrast of what's happening here. On the outside, you feel perfectly fine. The blockage cleared, your speech is back, your arm is moving normally. But on the inside, the underlying clot, or that narrowed artery, with the irregular heartbeat, it hasn't gone anywhere. It's just sitting there, literally waiting to trigger a much larger, devastating stroke a few hours later. The danger is absolutely not over just because the symptoms are.
To put all this into perspective, there's a terrifying real-world anecdote from our source material. One woman described her mini-stroke by saying it felt like someone literally just flipped a switch in her brain, just out of nowhere. She couldn't remember simple, everyday words for a few minutes. Now it passed and she almost just stayed home on the couch thinking she was completely fine. But thankfully, she decided to head to the ER, and that's where doctors found a severely blocked artery. That one single choice to get checked out, catching the underlying cause before the big stroke hit, literally saved her life.
Part 3. The FAST acronym explained.
Okay, so as a rapid-fire, absolute, non-negotiable refresher, we have got to talk about the FAST acronym. F stands for face drooping, A is for arm weakness, S is for speech difficulty, and T means it's time to call emergency services, right that second. If you or someone you love experiences sudden weakness on one side of the face or body, or if words suddenly start coming out all slurred, do not wait. It is a medical emergency. Doctors have to intervene immediately to figure out the cause, get treatment started, and prevent permanent, life-altering disability.
Part 4. Symptoms you must not ignore.
Now, the tricky thing with these quote-unquote invisible red flags is how easily they disguise themselves as everyday annoyances. We're talking sudden, really severe confusion, vision loss or extreme blurriness in an eye, unexplained room-spinning dizziness, a totally sudden loss of balance or trouble walking, and a really huge one, an intense, unusual headache that strikes out of nowhere, especially if it feels totally different from any headache you've ever had before. Look, these are not just signs that you need a quick nap or a tall glass of water. They are massive, blaring red flags that your brain is under acute distress and desperately needs blood flow.
Part 5. Lowering your stroke risk.
All right, let's pivot to your prevention toolkit, because you actually have a lot of power here. High blood pressure is the silent driver of all of this. It's the leading risk factor because it just quietly wreaks havoc on your blood vessels over time. So working with your doctor to know those numbers and keep them healthy is step one. Alongside that, managing things like diabetes, high cholesterol, and keeping an eye out for irregular heart rhythms like atrial fibrillation is key. But also just think of the daily habits as your armor. Avoiding smoking, cutting back on alcohol, trying to get decent sleep, and fueling up on vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. By prioritizing this toolkit, you are taking the power back and massively lowering your risk long before a warning sign ever shows up.
And that brings us to the final, really critical thought for this explainer. Your body whispers before it screams. Are you listening? A brief moment of weakness, or sudden confusion, or slurred speech, that is not just a bad day. The fact that you feel totally normal again a few minutes later doesn't mean the danger went away. It's a final warning you just cannot afford to miss. So I highly urge you to share this explainer with someone you love today, because arming them with this knowledge, helping them recognize those fleeting little whispers, that could very well be the one conversation that saves their life.